crispy sun air that AC can't prevent.
So we're going to line up and make our way into the temple as a meditative experience. To those of you who are there on the live stream, I invite you also just to start to slow your breathing and think about making this a special time for yourself. And each one of us, as we have a moment with the enlightened being, let yourself just imagine the most awesome version of you. If you were to start from scratch to feel free and empowered, what would it be like? Let's make our way in.
Hey, man.
Wear my nice avatar while I'm here.
Do you guys want to come in?
Ooh, excellent.
I don't know if the other one's appropriate.
Fair enough.
Ding. Ding.
Should get my little singing bowl. I have it. It's like right over there.
You could grab it for the start
Singing
of the
bowls are nice.
meditation. But yeah, having it as we walk in some weeks, that'd be lovely to ding it as people walk in.
Yeah.
Okay, so we normally start with setting our intention, why we're here. So rather than doing more like the ritualized contemplation, I just want you to think about, what do you want to get from today? How do you want to feel better? How do you want to transform yourself? How do you want to transform how you think, or how your mind works, or how your attention is, or how your feelings are? What do you want to bring to the world, or do for the planet, or do for your friends, or do for yourself? And as I'm giving us just a minute to think about that, I want you to think about how you'll listen to the different ideas. But even more importantly, I want you to ask questions. I want you to make this happen for you. Let's just all take a minute just to breathe and feel that intention for you to make this as awesome as you can for yourself. And when we're ready, those of you who are still standing, we're going to grab a seat. And we'll begin with a meditation. So I invite everybody, just have a little stretch. Get yourself ready to really be still. So you feel your body. Maybe wiggle your toes and your fingers and your arms and your shoulders. Move your spine around. Move your head around. And then feel your body settling. Feel it finding a position, a posture where you balance really nicely and you can relax peacefully. Invite everybody to close their eyes and take a slow, peaceful breath. And as you breathe slowly and deeply, Just let yourself enjoy feeling a little more relaxed, a little more at peace with each breath that you take. And notice that when you put your mind on relaxing or peace, for some of you, that's really what you do. Your body, your mind just moves into peace, into relaxation. For some of you, you may just notice the other things your mind's doing. So, if you're noticing the peace and the calm actually happening, I invite you to just enjoy that and to go deeper into that. Or if you were noticing your mind doing other things, I just invite you with each breath you take, imagine that every part of you is becoming peaceful and still. We're just doing our beginning meditation. So the eyes closed, slow, peaceful breaths, feeling, enjoying that you can shift gears in your mind. That you can shift gears in your feelings. And as you just keep breathing, keep meditating, just know that the more you practice choosing your state of mind, the more you can have that in every moment. So each moment of the breath, just be present in that moment. Make it feel peaceful, wonderful, happy. And then for those of you who just joined us, we'll do just one more minute of meditation. So I invite you just to dive in with your attention. Close your eyes, take a strong, deep breath. And just notice what your mind's doing with your eyes closed, seeing your own mind. And imagine if you mastered your own mind, always aware of your thoughts, feelings, always able to just stop anything in your mind that doesn't serve you. Just being able to level up yourself to be happier, to be stronger, to be more peaceful, to be more confident. Just watch your mind and feel that ability to master yourself. If you put your attention on it, it's something that you can wildly achieve. And just for the last idea of the meditation, I want to remind you of the intention we set, that this session is for you to make this awesome for you to get enlightened, or you to get happy, or for you to change some habits, or for you to feel better in whatever way you want to. So just take a few moments to feel that you're going to make the most out of this session for yourself. And then as we start to come out of the meditation, just keep noticing your mind. When you start to look around the temple or think about things, keep watching your mind. Have this part of you that's observing yourself. You're not just thinking or seeing. You're thinking and seeing and being aware of it. And so throughout the session today, you're just going to keep practicing that awareness of yourself in each moment, and how you can train yourself to feel great, to be great, to feel peaceful, to be peaceful. How can you grow the things that you want to be? So if you're really deep in meditation still, you can start to stretch and take some stronger breaths. Great, so it's really nice to have those of you who joined us halfway through. It's good to see you, almost full temple. Marliese is on the live stream. She said hi everyone. Oh, and I can see there's a few other people. So if you're out there on the live stream, I will be checking the chats. So Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Please say hi. Any questions you want. I hope to try to include you in this session as well. Okay. So I want to just jump straight in. I asked everybody to think of what you want to get from this session. If you could train your mind or your feelings or yourself in any way, what would be helpful for you? So I want to open it up. Does anyone have any questions or requests or something they want to make better? And I really encourage you, if you're thinking of something, and I'm sure a lot of you are thinking of some things, and you're like, oh, I'll wait a little while. I invite you to just say it, blurt it out. Let's make something awesome happen for you. Alex, what's on your mind?
Me?
Yeah.
Say it, bro. I kind of just came here because my buddy was here, but, you know, just relaxing.
All right.
Vibing, you know.
Let's start with that. Chillaxing. Now, can I just see with a wave, in that little meditation, who felt more relaxed or more good vibes? Most of us. So I would just want you all to take a moment. Imagine if every day you gave yourself a couple of minutes just to give yourself the ultimate chillax. Or maybe the vibe that you want to be cultivating, maybe you're already super chill, but you want to practice feeling really expressive or really fun. If you were to give yourself just a couple of minutes each day to let everything else disappear, and I'm just going to focus on chill, or I'm just going to focus on smile, and let that feeling grow. The first day, it'll be like, oh, that was pretty good. And then the second day, it'll probably be a little better. And the third day, it'll probably be better. And after a couple of weeks of doing that, the kind of chillax that you could just jump into as soon as you decide can get so beautiful. You know, like one monk that really touched me when I was at a conference, he said there's this ocean of peace and equanimity inside yourself, and you can learn to dive into it. And I'd already been doing some peace meditation, but I loved that image. And yeah, for the next month, that was my idea, this infinite ocean of peace that I could just jump into. And it's wild how practicing that for a month changed me forever. So I hope every one of you can just take a moment to smile to yourself. Wow, I'm going to learn more chillax, or I'm going to level up my vibing in whichever way you want. More laughs, more happiness, more chill, more kindness. So let's just all take a few breaths, think about that, feel it, feel good about it. Awesome. So Alex, JC, thank you for the inspiration for that little session. And I'm actually, it's like super serious. If you do give yourself a couple of minutes every day, and I don't mean just the idea, oh yeah, I think I could train myself. I actually mean a couple of minutes where you just decide to focus on chillaxing. And not just 2 breaths, like you actually do a couple of minutes. It gets more and more awesome. So, yeah, I hope some of you are inspired to try that. That one nihilist, I see your question. That's pretty intense. So I'm just going to do follow-ups to what we just did and then come back to that one. JC, you had something you wanted to say, or? Oh, that was just a wave. I feel the vibe.
Yeah, it was just the way. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so to go from perfect chillaxing, I hope everybody's ready. That one nihilist has asked a pretty heavy question. It may be heavy for some, but you can also create it in a way that is more lighter and more present. So everybody ready? The question is that one nihilist has been trying to improve their acceptance of death. So the first thing I want to say about anything and everything when it comes to the mind is that you can practice whatever you want. And you could imagine a person who just laughs when they hear about death. Or you could imagine a person who cries uncontrollably for years. Or you could imagine someone who just feels love and care for everyone who was close to that person. Or you could imagine someone who just really wishes it hadn't happened. Or someone who really focused on a feeling of accepting what has happened. Like any mindset is actually possible. Even like things that are outside of what you think is possible, someone could train themselves to like react that way. So regardless of the thoughts I would share about good ways of dealing with death or loss or change, I want to preface that with, hey, I want you to be inspired to step out of your past reactions and just think, hey, what would be my best reaction? And how strong would I feel that if I was choosing how I want to react? And if you kind of, just like we had the chillax question, like, or the chillax moment, like just giving yourself the chance to practice feeling good. Also giving yourself the chance to practice the kind of reaction you want to have to death, or to people teasing you, or to things going on in your life. You get to choose how you want to train your mind. Okay, so with that said, some things that I've found super helpful when it comes to death is that I choose that, people die. That definitely happens. So I choose to like internalize that. It's part of how I see the world. And so the moments that I have with people, they're precious. It's not like they're going to be around forever. The time that you have together is precious. Make the most of what you've got. And then what about the people that are already gone? That then leads me to ask, well, what's my best reaction there? And generally what I think of when I ask that question is I want to make the best memories. And whenever for the rest of my life, when I think of that person, I want to feel caring and happy and positive, like all the best things I could take from that person and continue them. If let's say me and someone else cared about someone that had passed away, whenever I talk to that person, I want to bring that person love and strength and positivity. Maybe share the great memories, have a laugh together, love that person together. So if your focus is on like, oh, how do I deal with the suffering, then your mind's going to be there. So I invite you to step out of that and ask, well, how do I create an awesome way of responding? And if you focus on that, you will be able to create that. Now, the same kind of thing can be true for other forms of loss. Like say you had a group of friends and then, life changes. Maybe you went from school to university, or you left school and you got a job. You moved to a different state. Started hanging out with a different group of people. Like there could be people that you were attached to and then they're gone from your life. You may be able to reach out to them, but maybe things have changed and you just don't really reach out anymore and they're gone. Or maybe there was a falling out and if you reach out to them, things go badly. So this sense of loss or people moving from our life, I think it affects many people. So I want to go back to this same suggestion I had, which was ask yourself, what's the best reaction I can imagine right now? What do I learn from people? What do I learn that I could have done better? What do I cherish? Who do I focus on next? By staying like present and just asking yourself, what do I do to make my life best? And what can I feel that's lined up with the things that will make my life best? If you focus on that, you will train your way of being to be awesome. You will be okay that things have changed. You'll be aware that in new chapters, things will be different. I hope to encourage every one of you as you're making friends and as you move through life, think about, hey, what kind of friendships do I want to make? What kind of topics are important that I want to have in my life? Or what kinds of people will we make each other happier, better? And my wish for all of you is that you feel peace and acceptance and strength, not just for you, but for the people around you. Like you feel it so much that you can say it and you can be it, that other people feel it from you too. So that one nihilist, they responded that change and things not being what you expected is guaranteed, but suffering or hurting from it is optional. Yep, that's pretty much what I was going to say. All right, so then we've got a comment from Hollow Merc. We're just starting. Yeah, we started 20 minutes ago, but welcome. we had a little welcoming ceremony and meditation, and so then they've said the more you look at something, the more you'll be able to understand it and be prepared for it. And then they said the worse or harder something is, the more you need someone to be with you along the path. So those of you who are regulars here, you know I like to be very precise. So I want to rephrase that, like if something's really hard or it's like a bad thing that happened, having people there with you can be amazing. Reaching out to people, building your support network, caring for others and letting them care about you is a wonderfully helpful thing. But we don't always have people. There are some times where people don't have that support network. Or maybe the support network's there and you're like caught up in stuff and you're angry at people, so you kind of forget about it. So I want to say that even in those times, it's not that we have to have those other people, but other people can be really helpful. So I also want to say that there is this amazing strength, this ocean of peace, this matrix level reprogram your brain ability that whatever's going on, you can tap into this strength and awesomeness. And when things are intense, I invite you to just tap in even deeper to more awesomeness. The more awesomeness you need, the more that can motivate your imagination to create wild strength, awesome peace within you. So, hello, Merc. I hope that you like that comment. All right, let's make the next topic a little less heavy, if possible. Unless anyone has any questions or comments about what I said, is there any way that we could make that more helpful or more real or more light for people? Actually, no, what I really wanted to tell you is that everything I just said could have sounded just like an idea or some theory, but I'm going to tell you a story just to make it real. So I've lost some very close people in my life, some best friends and my dad. And every single time, my cousin who was my hero, he passed away before I had learned about meditation. And it shook me to my core. So let me just talk about the other people who've passed away since I learned meditation. And with each one of them, as soon as possible, I reminded myself to kind of just come back to my centered strength. So all my reactions, all my thoughts, I can just leave it, at least for a minute or two. Just put it all aside. And then once it's all gone, what I was left with is like, okay, all right, I got to help with the funeral, or I've got to reach out to the other people who I know might be upset and support them and love them. And this strength appeared inside me, like, wow, I really want to care for the other people and make things good for everyone. And by focusing on that, that's then what I felt, this care and this power. So I'm certain every one of you, if you get into that centered place, you'll find your version of awesome, and you'll have awesome ways to react and to be. Right. I'm going to open it up to all of you now. Sanity, did you have your hand up? Hi. Is there something you
Hello.
wanted to? Is there something you wanted to share or ask or comment?
I think your speech is very deep, and I like it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, the idea of changing how I feel or focusing my mind, it really did change my whole life. And I think the world, if everybody was doing that each day, a couple of minutes to chillax, a couple of minutes to feel more love and kindness, a couple of minutes to like reprogram how they react to hard things, the world would be wildly different. And I know my life, my world is wildly different because I've learned how to do it. And so that's exactly why I put on these sessions, because I know that you can do the same thing, and I wish that for all of you. So Zenity, thank you. And yeah, it's nice to be appreciated.
You're welcome.
But yeah, especially I want to emphasize these sessions are for you, and even grand ideas that might sound, this infinite ocean of peace. Some people might think, oh, that sounds far out. But if you take it as like, whoa, I'm going to practice that, you can have it.
This white thing. Just me.
So to those of you who just arrived, I see some more people on the live stream. Hey, there's a lot of you. Great. It's good to have you all here. And those of you who've just arrived in the temple,
Fucking avatar, like big white.
the theme for tonight is whatever will help you most. So it's open to everybody to ask questions, topics that will help you, things you're working on, how you could improve meditation or your mind, how you could react to different things, how anything that you would like to transform in yourself or your life. This topic tonight is for you to be as awesome as possible. And I just saw on the thread that one nihilist. I'm going to slightly paraphrase this. I hope that's okay. They said just because someone's may have passed, the love is still there. If you remember them and you care about them, that love still exists. When you tell nice stories about them, they still exist. When you impact other people's lives, even when you're out of their lives, that impact you have carries on. So it's like that part of you stays there. The memories you have of your family, if you keep those memories or you keep those qualities, you get to pass that on as well. All right. So can I open it up to everybody here? Does anyone else have something in yourself that you'd like to transform or work on, or a question about life or the mind, or transforming your emotions or meditation? Ninja?
I kind of do. I also unfortunately have to go really soon, but some general like calming techniques would be nice. I've been kind of stressed out recently.
Would you prefer that I guide one for us, or that I tell you a whole bunch of ones that I have found that are really good?
What, like thinking or something? That works for me. Like just thinking in your head while you're doing it. That helps a little bit.
Yeah, I'm a bit of an overthinker, so sometimes that makes it worse.
I think it really depends on how you're thinking. if you get into a super practical mindset, that might be resolving for some, but then for some people that might just create more thought paths.
Or just have a focal point and just focus on that, like on your forehead or something.
So absolutely.
And then just go back to that.
That's one of the suggestions I was going to suggest is single pointed concentration. But from the situation you described, it's probably not the best suggestion I would have given. Something that I found that's most helpful for calming is oh, hang on. Yeah, I could hear myself a few seconds later. So yeah, one of the things I found that's most helpful for calming is a progressive muscle relaxation. It's what they call it with sports psychologists, is to feel each part of your body and maybe tense them up and relax them. And then you tense up the arms and then you tense up the shoulders.
Like a body scan?
So
Kind of
generally
like
when
that,
I
or-
think of a body scan, I think it's purely in the mind. So you'll maybe feel the head, or maybe you see colors move through the head, and then it moves through the neck and it moves through the shoulders. Progressive muscle relaxation, you physically tense up the muscles and then relax them. So it's a body scan including this intense tensing and then really feeling the relaxing. So
yeah, that's what I do. I do a little bit of both. Yeah. It works. It definitely works.
So they often do that at the end of a yoga class. They call it yoga nidra. Some yoga nidras are just the scan, and some of them are the tensing and relaxing. Ninja, are you in our Discord? I could post the link to my guided deep relaxation if you like. It's SoundCloud/Fraser Kirkman/deep relaxation for anyone out there on the live stream, or if you remember it. But yeah, so guided deep relaxing is super good for calming. And I would also suggest to imagine yourself as someone who's really calm. You know, I mentioned that idea that there's this ocean of peace inside yourself. Imagine if you believed that, and imagine if you, just anytime you wanted, close your eyes, one breath, dive into an ocean of peace. What would that be like? And when you first imagine it, maybe you just feel it a little bit, or maybe you can't even feel it to start. But the more time you spend imagining it, the more you'll feel it. And then once you start to feel it a lot, you're like, wow, there really is an ocean of peace inside me. Wow, that feels amazing. And you're like able to just dive into it more and more. So I'd like to guide a little part of the progressive muscle relaxation, just so you've got a feel for what it's like, and then we'll move on. So I'm going to put my controllers down, and I invite everybody to turn both your hands into fists. Squeeze the fingers, squeeze the thumbs. Now notice that you can activate the muscles that close your fingers. Do that, and at the same time, feel the muscles that pull the fingers open. So you're tensing them in both ways. And there's all the muscles that would move the thumb in all the different directions. Feel that. Move your thumb in all the different directions and then activate all those muscles. And then just scan through your fingers and find any other muscles you can activate. And just keep holding that tension. Tense it all up. Then take a deep breath in and tense everything more. Fill your lungs and hold the breath in and hold the tension. And then let the hands relax as you breathe out. Take another deep breath in, fill up the lungs and hold it in. And imagine that you're letting go even more. And you could then tense the hands up again and tense up the arms. And after you've held that for a while, you then let the arms and the hands relax. And then you do the same thing with your feet and your legs. And then you do the same thing with the hips and your tummy and your chest and your back. And then you do the same thing with your neck and your head. And then you do the whole body all at once, super intense, everything activated, letting go. And if you give yourself, 3 minutes to 20 minutes to like go over that, the feeling of just letting go and your body learning the feeling of letting go totally is really nice. Plus your muscles will be exhausted, hopefully. So it's like you're physiologically forced to relax. And I was super anxious when I first discovered this technique. And I did it every day for a month. And it trained me to just feel really calm in my body. I also did it every night before I went to sleep. So it trained me to go to sleep really peacefully and calmly. So Ninja, that's my like favorite response for learning calm and training it in. I've got a whole bunch of others that I'd happily share over time. But yeah, I thoroughly recommend you to find a guided deep relaxation or progressive muscle relaxation and practice it every day or like as much as you can for a while and feel your body just learning that feeling of letting go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we've got another question on the live stream. So that one nihilist says they have this issue that they're too much of a people pleaser. So trying to please other people, often it's at the cost of their own well-being. So I'm going to go back to the same thing I always go to is ask yourself what would be the awesome way of being in regards to this, and then practice it. And I think if you were to ask yourself what would be your ideal, and you can frame it a way that's ideal, that helps others, but it's also awesome for you. It strengthens you, that you get better and stronger. You have more abilities and resources, that your life is enriched and other people's enriched. If you try and imagine what that's like, and you put your focus on that, you'll be able to learn that and feel that. So any of my response I'm about to give, this is the things that worked for me. But I think ultimately posing yourself that question, focusing on creating your best answer, that's a superpower I want to just continually emphasize. For whatever's going on for any of you, just ask yourself, what would be an awesome way to be? And try and imagine it, try and practice it. And then ask yourself again, what would be a more awesome way to be? Let your creativity and your emotions and your mind find the best way of being. So then some of the things I've found that's helpful with this idea of being a people pleaser, I definitely had a couple of decades where I wanted to be a monk, but couldn't find a lineage that I thought everything they taught was true, so I couldn't commit to it. So I was just wandering the world doing workshops and helping people. People would host me and feed me, but other than that, I didn't really get anything in return. But I got in return this feeling of wonder that I was helping so many people and experiencing cultures from all around the world and seeing into so many people's lives. But it got to a point where when I was sick, I didn't have the resources I needed to look after myself. And I want to have a wonderful community of hundreds of people making films to change the world and creating technology that impacts the planet. And as a wandering meditative dude, I just didn't have the power or the resources to do that. And somehow I ended up running a meditation and retreat center, and it was all by donation. And so everything that I had, I eventually lost. Somehow I just believed that giving would work. And, maybe for some monasteries and some places out there, it does work, but in the culture or in the way that I organized it, it didn't. And so that kind of shook me to my core. And I really started thinking, I turned it around. What could I do that would make myself as empowered as possible, that I would then be able to help more people? So I focused on trying to earn as much money as I could, so that I would then have more resources to create materials to empower people. We're now setting up a charity. We have a team. I now have VR equipment, so I get to hang out with all of you and run these classes. So by focusing on optimizing for me, still with the heart that I want to make things better, it's then made me be able to help more. So I think that's what I want to say about that for now. Ask yourself to optimize for you, and then you'll be more awesome to help wherever you go. Now, if someone's really, really selfish, I would definitely encourage them to spend some time meditating on compassion and imagine a world where people are kinder. That's probably what would help them in their life and the people around them most. But that one nihilist, if you've gone too far the other direction, I would say, yeah, definitely optimize for you, and you're still going to take that good heart and that helpfulness, and then you'll be more powerful to help others.
Can I make a short comment, Nia?
Sure. Who was that?
I found it very interesting your ideology on wanting to gain resources to help people, because that's actually something I struggled with when having the desire to study at a monastery, as well as I would have nothing to contribute to help people that literally need money or things in their home or medical treatments to help those types of things, where really all you can do is work a job. And in monasteries, it seems like you can't really do that. So I feel like I understand where you're coming from.
I have a few things to respond to that. Is that some would say that finding peace or learning to change your mind is more valuable than almost all of that. Obviously, medicine, when it's needed, is essential. It's life-saving. Food also. But then a lot of people have needs or materialistic needs that they don't really need. And if they just had peace and happiness within themselves, they wouldn't need as much stuff. So there is a balance. There's wonderful things that come out of a meditative, more minimalistic lifestyle. But yes, there are things that we also definitely need. And yeah, one of my biggest critiques of Buddhism is that they kind of shunned marketing. The goodness should speak for itself, but in reality, it doesn't. We're in a world full of competing chaos, and I think the whole planet could be enlightened already if they had all been thinking, how do we create optimum impact? How do we use money and resources in society to really leverage what we have? But then on the other hand, I can't just say Buddhism is enlightenment. I've been to so many different monasteries, and some of them have lots of awesome stuff to teach, and a little bit of nonsense, and some of them have lots of nonsense and only a little bit of goodness. So I'm not going to be like stamp, yeah, Buddhism, if it had monetized, would definitely have made the world better. Maybe we would have all just ended up with like techno statues in the corner of our room. Like, that doesn't really do much. So yeah, all of us figuring out what we can do best for everybody. I think if everyone was asking that question and we're all working to make the world as good as possible in the way that you think is best as possible, then the world would be awesome. All right, we've got another question from the live stream. Hello, Merc. Thanks for your patience. So, in Hindi, Buddhist and shamanistic beliefs are a time of leaving society or taking a monastery vow of silence in everyday life. It's considered to be a good next step for yourself. How would you think the best way of doing this in modern society is? That's a great question. I think spending some time in a monastery in silence does wild things to your mind and to your feelings. And I think if anyone has a chance to try that and it seems appealing for you, it's something to consider. You asked how to fit that into everyday life. It's definitely something that doesn't fit into everybody's lives. So I would hope that we can reframe it. So this idea of making a space for like pure meditation or enlightenment, I hope you can actually imagine having that in your every moment. What would it be like if you like just kept checking in with this awesomeness and this peace when you go to work? And you're in a meeting, what's my most awesome self? How can I help the most here? How can I bring strength, good vibes, peace, creativity? Just practicing having this inner monastery inside your own consciousness every moment is what I would say to how to fit it into our daily life. I would thoroughly encourage everyone, if you can, to do 10 or 20 minutes of meditation every day. I mentioned earlier 3 minutes to chillax, and in terms of making good feelings, that's enough for it to get better and better. 10 minutes of single pointed stillness meditation, so you can really watch the intricacies of your mind and able to still the noise more and more every day. I think MRI brain scans have found that if you do 8 minutes of that each day, it'll progressively get more and more mindful and better self-control and awareness. So yeah, if people can do 10 minutes of meditation each day, that's wonderful. But yeah, I would recommend 10 minutes of mindful breathing meditation, as well as 3 minutes of chillaxing or happiness or laughter. And ideally, I'd also recommend you spend 5 minutes in the morning and the evening imagining being your most awesome self, practicing being great, practicing treating your family the way that would be most enlightening or powerful or good, envisaging your best self. So yes, that's how I would ideally recommend that you bring it into your modern life. You treat yourself like you are a sports star at life, and you be your own coach, and you train yourself to be amazing. And every now and then, go and do a day of silent meditation and just tap into that wild, altered consciousness that you can tap into. Hello, Merc. Let me know if that was the kind of answer you were thinking of, or if you'd like to ask me something else. All right, so I just checked the time. We have time for a couple more of these brief topics, and then we're going to have our closing meditation. Just while I let everybody think about questions, or perhaps you already know exactly what you want to ask and you're just building up the bravery to ask it. So I invite you to imagine being really brave and just asking what will help you the most. But while I give people time to think that, I'm just going to recap what we've covered just for my own memory, and also hopefully it'll be helpful for you. So we talked about chillaxing or making good vibes, practicing the kind of feelings that will be great, and giving that some time each day to make it better, and hopefully learning that in every moment you're like, hey, this moment, how good do I want to feel? Oh, this moment I'm going to be happier. And right now I'm going to be more chill. So this like ability that we can create awesome feelings is great, and practicing it often so it gets more awesome, and trying to be aware of that in each moment. So that was our first topic. Then we had the topic of dealing with loss and change. And I emphasized, ask yourself, what's the optimal way that a human could be? What would be the ideal mental and emotional reaction? And practice that. You know, it can be so normal for people to just get caught up in the reactions that their culture taught them, or the habits they've picked up. And then when you try to change, you can be caught up in all this stuff and you try and make it a little better, but you're still caught up in all that. I invite everyone, just drop all that and imagine your most awesome self and practice that. And then your mind starts being in those thoughts and in those feelings and in those ways of being. And then when you've got this strong, awesome self, you can look at all the old ways and just be like, oh, yeah, I have this infinite peace inside me. I am a source of calm and comfort to others. I do move through this life with love and strength and power. So that was our second topic. Then we talked about ways to be calm, body scans, progressive muscle relaxations. And then we talked about being a people pleaser, and how do we shape our life so that it's good for us and we're able to help others more. Then we looked at some spiritual communities leave society or take a vow of silence, but how do we include that in our life? So I invited everybody to imagine that you've got this temple inside yourself every day, in every moment. If you are bringing your best self out, also each day, give yourself breathing meditation, give yourself chillax meditation, give yourself 5 minutes to just imagine and practice being awesome. So make your life a meditative practice. Make yourself a training for you to train yourself to be amazing, because the world needs you to be. Okay, and then we have some responses. To the person who asked about the vow of silence, they said that works, yes. I know most countries can't just be silence all day, every day. So that's what they were wondering. But yeah, in many countries, there are places where you can go on retreats. They are available, but people might not have the resources to. Maybe they have rent they have to pay, or maybe they can't afford to get to the place, or not everyone has the luxury to go on retreats. So I invite you to create your own life as a spiritual practice. And if somehow you are able to go on a retreat, I've been on many retreats. Many of them were amazing, but often they also taught things that some people would say are cult-like or religious dogmas. So be careful when you're in a meditative state to not just believe whatever things say, or ask different people who've been on a retreat, not just the people who loved it, but also the people who were skeptic of it, so that you can always refine what you learn or what you pick up from different places. And then that one, Nihilus, has just asked another question. Do I think it's important for Buddhists to engage with certain types of eating to further their mindfulness? And then the second part is to reduce the amount of suffering around them. So you mentioned Buddhists. I just care about humans. I've learned a lot of great things from Buddhists, but I've also picked up some bad habits from them that I then had to refine away. I've learned amazing things from many different cultures. So I'm going to answer the question, do I think it's important for people to engage in mindful eating? Now, for anyone who hasn't experienced mindful eating, one of the really great examples of that is you can go to some temples and they'll share a meal, everybody eating, but they all eat in silence. And you're invited to taste every flavor and to watch every moment, to watch your body. You know, sometimes people just eat and they'll eat more than they're full. So as you watch your body, you can start to pay attention to the sensations. When am I full? Or maybe you'll notice flavors that you don't normally pay attention to. So yeah, mindful eating can be a beautiful practice. Do I think it's important for every person to do that practice? No, but it's definitely one that I would add to a list of, hey, if you want to try lots of different practices, it's one I would say it's a good one to try. Mindfully eating can also be helpful if you're trying to eat healthier, or if you're trying to eat slower because it's better for your digestion or something. So yeah, there's eating silently in the temple, but then there's also just trying to be mindful and find the palette of flavors. Actually, this is something I would suggest is important for everybody. I had foods I didn't like and foods I did like. And then once I started learning about brain programming, I was like, it's just in my head that I don't like them. So I'd eat foods I didn't like and try and find the other parts of the flavors that were delicious and tone down my negative reaction. So I used to hate cantaloupe, and now I love it because I noticed the yummy flavors, and the part of the flavor I didn't like that I don't want to even bring attention to, I've just toned that down. And then I did the same thing with all foods. I've made it that whatever I think is healthy and ethical is delicious. And so yeah, now I can enjoy any meal. So yeah, liberating your mind that you are optimal in each moment. It's the same theme that runs through everything I've said. Empower your mind that you can be awesome and apply that to every aspect of your life. Now, there was a second part of your question. Mindful eating to reduce the amount of suffering around them. So, some people would think, what on earth are you talking about? Why is that? How does eating got to do with suffering? Some people may be wasteful with their eating, especially if you're in a place where there's a food shortage. Just being careful and considerate is definitely an important thing in some places. But another thing I'd like to point out is that often people eat things where maybe there was people on the other side of the world who helped grow the food and they were in poor conditions. And it can be easy to just buy a packet and just be like, I like this food, and not actually be aware that maybe there was a slave or a kid who made the thing. And so by being mindful, like really being aware that the impact of what you actually buy, that could change somebody's life. And the same is true of environmental impact. If you buy things that didn't have or had less toxic fertilizers, or perhaps had less, I'll come to you after I do this little spiel, or perhaps traveled less distance, your environmental impact of the food could be a lot less, which is then good for our air quality and for the climate. And so, yeah, being mindful of the impact of what you do is amazing. And I would say, not just the idea of what we eat, but trying to be mindful of the impact of everything in a way that's like fun and helps you. So when you're talking to people, when you're putting out positive ideas, some of them are going to stick and help people. Or when you're making mean jokes, some of them are going to upset someone. Some of them are going to make people laugh. So the more you are aware of like, hey, what I do impacts others, the more easily you can make decisions that are kinder to others. And I didn't even mention that what we do to animals. You know, that many people will kill animals every day just to eat them, just as the food I want to eat. And to be aware of like what that animal went through, or that their kids were taken away from them every year just so they'd keep producing milk, or just because people want to eat the kids. I think if you're mindful and really seeing the impact of what you do, it's much easier to do things with love and with consideration and make your impact on everybody more loving and thoughtful and intentional. So that one, Nihilist, I hope that was an okay answer to your question. Marliese added, can you clarify in what context that was about? And then I'll come back to that point. So, Haku Wafamate, sorry if I just butchered your name. You had a comment you wanted to share?
Yeah, it just reminded me of how, I guess, Native Americans, or just people that had to hunt in nature, they would kneel down and thank or apologize to the animal they hunted, and then they eat them. Yeah.
If I was
Because they
ever in a
needed to
situation
survive.
where I had to eat someone, I'd probably more want to apologize to their friends and relatives who were still alive. But yeah, I guess if I believed they had a soul or they were still somehow conscious, I definitely would pass my consideration and deepest condolences to them. Yeah. I'm just really thankful that we live in a world where almost all of us don't have to kill to survive. Woven?
Yeah, so I've struggled a lot with the idea of eating ethically and, knowing the impact of my actions while also, having limited resources, having like a budget and having to, get cheaper food to have enough to eat, or even like choosing like quote unquote healthy things, but then, not having a ton of information on the origin, you know.
It can be tricky.
Yeah. For me, ideally, I would like to get to a point where I can just grow and harvest my own food.
So there are definitely intentional communities out there that focus on growing food. The retreat center that I mentioned before, we actually had a reasonable amount of land, and we grew a lot of food. I wasn't a great farmer, so it was a lot of work for little reward. But then I've been to some places where the food is just abundant. So if you want to do that, it's definitely possible. There are communities out there, or you could move to a farm. That was my ideal until I did it. And then I realized I actually have more important things that I want to, or things that are more important to me, or things that I want to contribute to the world that are more important to me. So if that's totally like a life goal for you and it's essential to your values, all power to you. There are communities you can find to do it. If not, my cynical or practical self is like, hey, your time is precious. So, yeah, if you're going to do that, I hope you find ways where you get the maximum food for the time you put into it. And also, you mentioned before, like limited budget and time to research. A lot of health foods and animal-friendly foods can like be budgeted as fancy and expensive, but there are also very good, very affordable foods. In most places, dried beans and grains are some of the cheapest foods you can get per meal. And if you were to make them your staple, just learn some really great curries or some really great bean and rice dishes, that can be the majority of your nutrition for cheaper than many other alternatives. Accessing...
I love chickpea curry.
Yeah, one of my favorites is a really good chickpea curry. Maybe we should have a recipe channel on the Discord. But yeah, definitely reach out to some of us if you want some great recipes or like cheap, affordable recipes. Finding quality fruit and vegetables for the other nutrients. Yeah, I mean, there are also some great apps where sometimes you can scan a barcode or something and it can tell you where things are from. Then you kind of also need the luxury of the time when you're shopping. I know it's a difficult thing. We live in a world where suffering is embedded into a lot of what happens. So learning how to navigate that in the best way that you can, yeah, all I can do is just encourage you and support you. And one thing that can be actually really helpful is to find people in your neighborhood who are environmentally conscious or who try to be kind to the animals, and copy. What things do they buy? What kind of meals do they have? And if you don't have time to go and meet those people, or you don't know how to meet those people, there are online groups as well. So there's lots of resources that can help. And if you see people being like, hey, look, here's my $100 tofu turkey, that's obviously not what you're wanting if you're trying to find budget, healthy, compassionate foods. So yeah, find the groups that are matching what you want. They're out there, and the resources are there to help you. And if you have more specific questions, Woven, are you in the Shoshin Discord?
I don't believe I am.
Just outside the door is a poster. It's got the Discord for this community. I post all the time announcing that I'm doing these sessions, and there's a lot of others here who are there in all the chats. So please come and talk about that in our community, or look up some of the groups online. I'm sure I've seen like groups like Vegan on a Budget, or things like that, where you can find cheap, healthy food that's applicable to where you are. Haku, did you have something you wanted to say?
One sec.
Too many tangents.
Yes. When you had mentioned mindful eating, that really reminds me of something that I learned very valuable throughout the period COVID had begun. And I would say that would be watch what you eat a little, and when you eat it, be sure to eat, period. You need to eat, like, say, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, for example, or two of those at least. And sleep okay, like sleep well and sleep and schedule. And the reason why I bring this up is it can deteriorate your mental health dramatically if you're not following that and you're not treating yourself well, like hydrating and stuff like that. And the more your mental health deteriorates, the less you'll be mindful to yourself and others, and you'll be less present. And if anything, some people more aggressive, or you get what I'm saying.
I also found intense exercise, like a few times a week, sweating and raising my heart rate, running or cycling or playing sport. In the chapters where I stopped that, I just wasn't as happy. So looking after our body with good nutrition and good sleep and good exercise can wildly help our consciousness. So thanks for sharing that. You were posing it as, hey, if you don't sleep, it can deteriorate. Or if you don't hydrate, it can deteriorate. I want to switch that around and invite everyone to imagine, hey, I look after my body and my mind. I treat myself well. I sleep well. I eat well. I exercise. I make my body and my mind great. Just a subtle shift in how you think about it can actually impact like the nudges that your subconscious takes you along. So yeah, I wish you all awesomeness. So Marlies wanted to comment that we were talking about retreats and monasteries. I know society's opening up again, but COVID numbers have started taking off again. So perhaps now is not the best time to go to a monastery. And perhaps setting up your own retreat where you are might be a wonderful alternative. And then Marlies also said that she's happy to say that we live in a world where we don't need to kill to thrive. Oh yeah, we don't need to kill to survive. We also don't need to kill to thrive. We can thrive in our life in a way that's compassionate, and that chickpea curry is great. Thanks for the comments, Marlies. And then Halo Merc has said the native way was always more so a reverence to try and make sure you stay humble and respect wildlife. There are many, many different native communities. I can't comment on what all those cultures do, but yeah, I think respecting that many of them teach reverence and humbleness and respect. It's a good thing for all of us. And then they said, having often hard exercise allows you to have higher energy stores, which allows the body to feel better for a multitude of reasons, including but not limited to having energy to be yourself during the day and not just an everyday robot. Great comment. Yeah, thank you. Some of us sometimes have injuries or things that make exercising hard. So if you're in that case, I deeply wish for you to be kind to yourself and patient with yourself, and strengthen your body and nourish your body in whichever ways you can. All right. Thanks everybody for all these wonderful contributions. Any last comments or questions, and then we're going to dive into our wrap-up meditation. All right. I think it's time for us to begin then. Is there anybody here or on the live stream, they're really brand new to meditation?
I am.
Kind of.
Great. So a few of you are pretty much brand new. So I like to think of meditation as it's any time that you put your attention on something. There are groups that will tell you, no, real meditation is just breathing to stop the mind, or real meditation is feeling love for the universe. And I've been to so many of these different groups who will tell you what meditation is. But their meditation helps in some way, and then some other groups' meditation helps in some other way. So I know I just said what meditation is, but I was trying to give the most broad definition I can that covers all the different styles I've seen. So there are people who meditate on singing some positive words. There will people who their teacher will say, we're going to chant something. It doesn't matter what the words mean, but it will do this magical thing to you. And so while they kind of just let their mind float, somewhere inside themselves is doing the positive ideas they were given. There's meditation. It's like a body scan or a relaxation, training the body and the mind to relax. There's laughter meditation, where as a group you just laugh and just ride each other's happiness and get happier and happier. There's kindness meditation, where you appreciate the people in your life, or you think of the people and wish for them to not be suffering, and just feel how much you actually care for people to be okay. There are meditations where you feel your sense of presence change. So instead of just being here in my head, it's like, whoa, I'm aware of the room. I'm aware of the neighborhood. I'm aware of the planet. There are meditations where people imagine going swimming with dolphins or flying with pixies. So people are able to put their attention or their imagination into all kinds of things. And each different kind of meditation will impact the people in different ways. Now, I really care about truth and accuracy, so I don't teach all of those kinds of meditations. I think some of them are based on falsehoods.
Popular thoughts?
Pardon, Dawn Shadow?
By the way, hi.
Hi.
I said you're based on popular thoughts.
Yeah, some of them are based on popular misconceptions. Some of them are based on dogmas that don't actually match reality. Some of them have some part that's really great and some part that is misleading. And so I try whenever I see any practice to see, like, what's the benefit that people are getting and what are the assumptions that go with the practice, and yeah, try to really just take the best bits of it. For example, if I was to...
By the way, sorry for being late. Could you do a quick recap for me so I can situate myself? Like, what are we talking about today?
We have covered
What's the main topic?
We've covered many topics today. I just asked people whatever questions they had. So we've had themes. Yeah. You can watch the live stream afterwards. Probably the best thing. So right now, I would just be thinking to yourself, we're about to do a meditation. So this moment is a class about meditation.
All right. I'm assuming right now this is the question period.
Right? No, right. We're in the closing meditation time now.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry for being so late. I have a lot of stuff going on in my life.
It's cool. Right now, all you got to do is just sit back and relax.
All right. We'll do that.
So I was saying that if we watch closely, we can see the impact of different meditations. So, for example, I've been to some groups where they say, we're going to look into our heart and you'll all find a bright pink light, and inside the pink light is infinite laughter and the pure love of the universe. And if someone's really skeptical, they'll be like, well, that sounds like trash. But then if someone's feeling spiritual and open, they're like, really? There's pink light with infinite love inside of me? And then they look, and then the person next to them is going, ah. And so they're like, whoa, it works. And then people start giggling, and then everybody starts giggling, and then they're swimming in their imagination of this like infinite love and laughter. And my critique of that is, yes, we can imagine infinite love and laughter, and it's wonderful to put your awareness into that. The pink light in your heart, or some like universal blessing that puts it there, I'm not sure if that's true, but I can definitely see that doing the practice of believing that you have love and happiness and then just getting carried away with it, you're then training yourself with love and happiness. Likewise, so that's a meditation that's pitched in a way that I'm critical of. But even the ways that I do the meditations I love most, I also want to be critical of. So if we're talking about breathing meditation, where you just breathe and you concentrate on the breath and you notice what your mind's doing, and then you let it all be peaceful, and then you breathe more, and then you notice more subtly what the mind's doing. You breathe more and it all settles more, and you let your brain activity settle more and more. You get into this place of being really, really still. And while you're there, you tap into these amazingly peaceful, kind, good feelings. And as you are practicing watching the subtleties of your mind, you learn to be more and more aware all the time, so you become the master of your mind. Just then, there was different parts of what I said, this beautiful peace and learning to master your mind, and the different parts of your mind becoming more still and more still and more still. Each one of those things I said is a different part of what I would have proposed as the meditation. Someone else who's doing a breathing concentrated meditation might describe it totally differently. And both of them might have some time practicing concentrating and maybe a bit of the mind being still. But then all the other different effects would be different. I'd hope that everything I described would be beneficial. But I've been to places where they describe it, and then they say, your mind's like a wild animal, so you breathe to just like, you wild animal, you're just breathing to like try and calm it. And I definitely experienced hanging around that enough was bad for my mind. So I hope that everything I share when I describe the mind and mental training is helpful. But I'm just prefacing it that whenever you see meditation or anything spiritual, be very critical. Which parts are true and which parts are actually beneficial? And like cut out the bits that are not true or not actually beneficial, and shape your experience to make the best from it. And, when I say you breathe and then you find this deep peace inside yourself, like I'm kind of just putting that idea out there. Breathing meditation doesn't have to have deep peace in it. But when I put the idea together, your mind does that. So I'm aware that I'm like guiding you into it. And I try to be as honest about that as possible. And I hope my words can always keep up with the understanding and paint the picture clear enough for you. But yeah, I have to preface it. When we guide our mind and we practice things, the way that you think about things and the way you practice and the way you believe it is it's a vast possibilities. Like whether you, maybe I said something that was a little incorrect in what I was just saying, but someone might get stuck on that idea. And maybe something else I said, like infinite strength and peace all the time, someone else gets stuck on that idea. So what you do with your mind when it comes to meditation is just so vast. So mostly I invite you to just notice where you put your attention and what you practice. And when I say your attention, I don't just mean your thoughts, but also your feelings. Put your feelings into the good feelings. Guide yourself to make the most of it. All right, so with that introduction, I'm now going to guide a meditation. So I invite everyone just to get comfortable, have a little shake, and then let your body settle. Check your spine, check your hips, maybe rock your lower back forward and back a little. Find a way of sitting up straight that feels dignified and powerful. Take a deep breath and relax into that posture. Like you're sitting in a way that is your strongest, most awesome self. If your eyes are open, I invite you to close them. And just notice a moment ago you were seeing things, and now what do you see with your eyes closed? And when I'm talking, you're hearing my words, but when I'm silent, what do you hear? And if I tell you to feel a deep breath, and feel your arms and legs relaxing, notice how your attention moved into feeling the body. In every moment, your attention and your experience can move and change so much. So we're just learning to be aware of our attention. And we're going to just breathe as we let our mind become calm, as we let our feelings become peace. And then notice how you feel right now, or what's your consciousness like right now. And imagine if all of that would just disappear. You're just letting it all go and just becoming deeper stillness and peace. So for the next few breaths, you just go deeper into stillness. There's so many things we could do in meditation. But for this meditation today, I just want you to notice every moment. Notice the difference between when you're noticing and when your mind wanders or is in a thought. You'll notice sometimes you could be having a thought and watching yourself have the thought. So trying to feel that every moment that part of you is there watching your awareness. For the next 5 breaths, in every moment, make it more chillaxed, relaxing, good vibes. still noticing every moment. Imagine if all of the activity in your consciousness just stopped. You are just pure awareness. You just breathe, and everything else becomes still. You're just awareness. Even if you notice yourself thinking about the meditation or asking what's going on, as soon as you notice that, just let that part of you stop. You're just coming into your breath. Every moment, your breath is like an anchor. Your attention is there, just stillness and awareness. Imagine if any time you could just remember this stillness and breathe into it. Any other feelings or thoughts or habits, you just put the brakes on them. Step into this place of total freedom. Imagine if you got into this state of mind of just total freedom and ease every day. You made it stronger and more amazing, and more free and more light and more good vibes and more an ocean of peace and power. And from this place, every day, you ask yourself, what's the most awesome way I would be? I could practice any feeling, any way of thinking, any habit. I'm in this free place right now. I'm going to practice being my strong, wise, chill, happy, peaceful, awesome self. You could think of every bit of wisdom from tonight and feel it right now. You're in a place where you could just be that wisdom. You could practice exactly having your best version of that wisdom. Beautiful chillax, super good vibes, wisely and powerfully being able to respond whenever there's change or loss. Being a source of strength and comfort, amazing strength and comfort for everyone around you. Shaping your life that you thrive and able to help others as you thrive more and more. Bringing peace and calm into your everyday. Your presence just brings peace and calm to everybody. But then think, what would you like your presence to bring? Do you want to bring excitement, love, happiness, goodness? Breathe into your presence, carrying the feelings and the ways of being that you want. Feel it being contagious. giving yourself a few minutes at least to tap into this every day. And practicing in every moment to be aware, to choose the optimal state of mind, to infuse the more and more awesome feelings. Imagine every moment, your evenings, your mornings, your work or your school, your time by yourself, your time with friends and family. Imagine going through all different parts of your life, and in each moment of it, tapping into that power inside of you. Be aware of your consciousness right now. In every moment, guide this meditation. Notice your consciousness right now. Use your breath as an anchor, or open up even more into ease, into freedom. You could imagine, you could practice any way of being, how good it would feel to just let your best self shine. And then let the feelings relax. Just not putting your attention anywhere. Just settle. And then imagine, just easily, in each moment of your life, bringing this sense of peace, this sense of freedom. And as we start to end the meditation, I invite you to imagine that every moment of your life is a retreat. That there's this temple, that there's this meditative awesomeness inside of you in every moment. Any chance you get, just remember to come back into choosing to feel good, to infusing more positive feelings, to step out of any other habits. What's my best self right now? Imagine if you carried this meditation with you every moment. So we finish these sessions with a dedication. So I invite you just to feel all the goodness that you learned, all the positivity that you practiced, all the different perspectives that you heard and that you could be and that you could share with others. And just imagine the benefit that it would bring to you and others if you fully embodied all of it. Just dedicate yourself being your own best friend, being your own awesome coach. Every day, giving yourself some time to go into chillax. To meditate, notice your mind and be present. To ask yourself, what would be my most awesome way of being here? What would be my most awesome way of being there? How good would it feel to just come from that place of my most awesome self? And if you have had some time where you weren't doing that awareness, as soon as you notice, you just come back into that awareness. Bring that presence back into your moments. Create or grow those good feelings. Just practice having that awareness and that positivity and that ease and that awesomeness. Just practice creating that in each moment as much as you can. It's like this game. Coming back into that awesomeness more and more and more. So thank you all for joining me. I wish you awesomeness.